Make sure to check us out on Letterboxd for written reviews.
For films that we've done not only on the podcast, but outside of the podcast too.
Links in the description below.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the Rewatch podcast. My name is Samuel.
And my name is Jaden.
And this is a podcast where we talk extensively about a certain film and then decide whether it deserves a rewatch from you. You can find us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or any other place you listen to podcasts. If you would like to
leave a like on the video down below.
That would be
much
fantastic.
appreciated.
And if you'd like to reach the show, you can leave a comment on the YouTube video or send us an email at theonerewatchpodcast@gmail.com. What movie are we going to be talking about today, Jaden?
Well, today we are going to be chatting about Wonder Woman, Patty Jenkins' 2017 film.
2017 film, DCEU film, the first major female-led superhero film.
Yep.
Don't let Marvel tell you they got there first. They didn't. It's one of the rare wins for the DCEU, I think. But yeah, so we're going to be talking about it today. A lot of people really like this film in terms of the DCEU. It's sort of rated quite highly, but then again, that's not really saying much. We've had a lot of
misses.
Yeah, a lot of misses from the old people at Warner Bros.
Yep.
And so we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about how Wonder Woman compares to sort of the rest of the universe and how it ties in nicely. But we're going to keep things general at the moment. But yeah, let's go to a little bit of a plot synopsis for the movie Wonder Woman. So, an Amazon princess comes to the world of man in the grips of the First World War to confront the forces of evil and bring an end to human conflict. Obviously, directed by Patty Jenkins. And are you a fan of Patty Jenkins' work, Jaden?
Look, I don't know much of what she's done. I know she's done Wonder Woman, and I know she's done Wonder Woman 84. To say the least, one of them I did not like at all. It's probably one of the worst movies I've ever seen. So she's hit or miss with me. And I know there's a lot of controversy out there, going on about whether Patty Jenkins was actually in control of this film or whether, she was just directing it in quotations.
Sort of like comes in for the name on it. Obviously, she was the director, so she would always have been on, it's technically her film. She would have been on set all the time. But the story is by who, Jaden? And do you think that the person who did the story had a bit of an effect on this film?
Oh, yeah, 100%. And you can definitely tell. So Zack Snyder was one of the contributing people who worked on the story on this film. And it's just so similar to many of his other films. And I'm not the biggest Zack Snyder fan. I've said that multiple times. But it's clear that he's got inspiration on this film. It's very similar in terms of how it's shot. You get a lot of slow-mos and you get a lot of really epic scenes, fight choreography and such. So yeah, it's very similar to BVS, Snyder Cut, even Man of Steel in some situations.
Yeah, for sure. And you've got to think 2017, in terms of the DCEU, we have had Man of Steel, we've had Batman v Superman, and we've had Suicide Squad. And that's it. So that's the sort of position that we're in going into this movie. As we're building this DCEU, or as Warner Bros. Are trying to build this universe. Right, so it's at this stage, it's very much Snyder-inspired. Snyder vision is being sort of fulfilled.
Restored.
Well, so Snyder's obviously started to build this world. He said, okay, here is the plan. Let's orchestrate this plan. And sort of, this is one of the movies that just slots in nicely to his vision and takes a bit to sort of save for later. Sort of
Yeah,
sets
yeah.
a few things up for future Justice League movies. But then also, I think personally works quite well as just a single sort
Standalone?
of historical piece. You know, this is Wonder Woman's backstory.
Yeah, I think it's a good. What do you call them? It's like a good
Like a period piece or
period piece. It's like an establishing sort of film for
yeah,
Wonder
solar
Woman.
origin sort of
Yeah, it's like an origin story.
Yeah.
And it's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah, and because it does go back in time, it does not really have to accelerate the current situation. Obviously, the movie starts without getting anything too specific. The movie sort of starts at the end of BVS.
Yep.
Not as we see in the movie, but in terms of the timeline. And then we sort of flash back, get Wonder Woman's backstory. And then after we do the backstory, which is the whole movie,
Yep.
we then go back to the end, which is at the start of the movie, and we see Wonder Woman jumping off into the sky, ready to go and be in Justice League.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think it works well as sort of the general good time superhero movie. If you don't take it too seriously.
Yeah. I mean, it's a superhero film after all. It obviously, with it being a period piece, some people are going to be annoyed considering that it's not accurate whatsoever.
Well, yeah, obviously it's fictional story, fictional take on things, interesting, you know, being set in the wartime, obviously you have to deal with that sort of baggage and how do we deal with that. But I think the movie did an okay job.
Yep.
So this movie is sitting at a 3.5 on the old Letterboxd platform. How do you rate that? Do you think that's a good rating?
I think that's a good rating.
It's a good rating.
Yeah.
A lot of people have given it a 3. A lot of people have given it 3.5. A lot of people have given it 4.
Yep.
And it sort of stops.
Yep.
Yeah, drop off there. But you know, there are a reasonable number of 5 stars. A lot of people really enjoyed this movie.
Yeah.
Especially when you consider the fact that it was the first female-led superhero movie, and you know it got a lot of attention because of that. And some people liked it more because of that. And I imagine there's a very small minority that probably liked it less because of that. But
Are we not sure that there's? Are we not certain that there's films preceding this that were superhero female-led ones? Because I think there might have been some in the 90s.
I'm sure there probably was. You know, I think there was a weird Catwoman movie, or you know, there are weird sort of
Halle Berry, I think.
Yeah. But in terms
Like from
of
the revival era.
in terms of like the major blockbusters,
Yeah.
you know, there's no sort of Wonder Woman movie that precedes this in live action anyway, because there was an animated Wonder Woman movie.
I'm pretty sure there is a live action Wonder Woman. I might be wrong.
No, there's a TV show.
There's a TV show.
Yeah. So there was a TV show back in the day, live action, and in fact the sequel actually put an Easter egg to it, I think. But I think you'd
I wouldn't know.
I think you'd walked out of the theater.
I walked out of the theater, so
Yeah.
I wouldn't know.
I just heard it on on the grapevine. Obviously, I did not bother to go and see the sequel there. So yeah, but it was huge because of that, and we've already had a sort of introduction to the character in Batman v Superman. Everyone was like, oh, that movie was a bit trash because we'd only seen the 2.5 hour cut by that stage, but wow, Wonder Woman was so cool. So everyone was really excited. And this movie made like $1 billion, bro.
Yeah.
It did really, maybe not $1 billion, but it did really, really well.
Really well, yeah.
Probably to the surprise of Warner Bros, I'd imagine. They're probably like, wait a second.
I think they undermined the ability of a female-led superhero film. Because obviously before that time, you know, you had Thor, Captain America, Iron Man, and obviously Superman and Batman. And it was about time that, you know, we got Wonder Woman or a Black Widow from either franchise.
Yeah, for sure. So let's start our little general chat then. Would you recommend this film to someone who has not seen it? Obviously, it's a bit of a superhero film, so maybe that comes into it. But would you recommend it?
If you're into superheroes, yeah.
And you haven't seen it?
And you haven't seen it yet, give it a shot. But other than that, probably not. It's not for everyone. I think it's very tailored towards superhero fans. And if you're not a superhero fan, then you're probably not going to have a good time with this because there's a lot of heavy themes in this that are relating to the comics and a lot of world building around Greek mythology and such. So if you're not a superhero fan, you're probably not going to enjoy this.
Mm. I will say though, a bit of anecdotal evidence for you. My mum went to see Wonder Woman 1984, and she came out, and I sort of had a conversation because I had not seen the movie, and I still have not seen the movie.
I don't know.
I had a conversation with her about it, and she didn't like it. It was too long.
Cool.
She was sort of confused as what was going on. But she's seen Wonder Woman a few times.
Yep.
She likes that one.
Cool.
So I think from that you can sort of say that this movie can sort of appeal to that casual sort of. I haven't seen many of these DC movies. By the way, my mum also liked Batman v Superman, so my mum's a bit of like...
The original cut, the theatrical?
Yeah, we went to see the theatrical cut together.
That's
no,
rough.
my mum's got great movie opinions, bro, trust me. But yeah, so she enjoyed Wonder Woman because it's always on TV. I don't know if you noticed this, but it's literally always on, like, your Channel 7s.
Yeah, it's just one of those movies.
Yeah, it's just very popular. I must get good ratings, bro, because... I must have seen it at least 3 or 4 times, like a few scenes just on TV, but regardless. So I think it can sort of be enjoyed by the casual audience coming into it, not having seen Batman v Superman or Man of Steel. I think it can sort of work on its own. But yeah, obviously if you're a superhero fan, you're going to enjoy it a lot more.
Yep.
And if you're not a superhero fan and you're just looking for a good movie, I'm not necessarily going to recommend that you go and see Wonder Woman. I'm probably just going to recommend like La La Land or something. Here he goes with the Shrek callbacks.
It's the go-to film.
but yeah, so, and also, do you think people who have seen this since the cinema, do you think they should go back and revisit this movie?
Look, okay, we kind of had this conversation like mid-watch. I don't know whether I've seen this film twice or 3 times. Because I saw it in theaters when it originally released, and I don't know whether I've seen it in between this viewing and the first time I viewed it. I don't know. So this could have been the second time I watched it. Look, it's without getting into too much. I think there's serious pacing issues in this. I think 2 hours and 20 minutes or however long it is probably really, really pushing it. They could have cut this down to like 1 hour 50, 1 hour 45 easily. So it's a bit of a drag to sit through at times, but it's also got really good scenes in it. I think you could probably do with a skip on this one and just watch a whole nother film that you might enjoy. But it's fun to return to it and chat about it and, figure out what's wrong with it, what's good about it.
But as a DC fan, do you think DC fans
yes.
like this? Because
it's one of the better films.
Yeah.
So if you're going to watch any of the DC films, watch this one.
Yeah. So you'd recommend it if somebody was like, say, I haven't seen DCEU. I want to go through and watch the best ones or the ones that I need to watch, sort of get up to speed with the universe for when the Snyderverse is going to be restored, obviously.
Waiting for that day.
I'm still waiting. Would you recommend that they go through and see Wonder Woman sort of on their way through? Yeah,
I'd probably start, not sure about the chronological order, but probably Wonder Woman, Man of Steel, BVS, Snyder Cut.
Yeah.
I think that might be the order.
So you go chronologically?
Chronologically.
Yeah, but then the movie starts after BVS, so that's confusing.
I know, but you'll be caught up on that later on.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a Darth Vader, Anakin Skywalker sort of thing.
Sure.
If you watch the original trilogy first. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. No, interesting. Yeah, all right. So let's go to then acting and characters. Who do you like performance-wise in this movie?
Probably my favorite is Chris Pine. I think at times this is very comic booky. It's very flat in terms of, there's a lot of fun humor and stuff, and that's even elevated more in the sequel. But this one plays around with it a lot better. I think Chris Pine has the most realistic performance in this, and we get a few scenes from him that really show how good of an actor he is. Everyone else just seems to be kind of having fun with it, and he's like the only one that's trying to tie it all together. And
he's trying to really be in the world.
He's
trying to, portray that sort of that wartime soldier.
Exactly.
Sort of,
And obviously, I think Gal Gadot is fantastic as Wonder Woman. Yeah, she's great. I think not too sure of the actor who plays her, but what's her name again?
The secretary,
The secretary.
Of Chris Pine.
Yeah, Eddie Candy or something. Yeah, I think she was fantastic as well, with her little one-liners.
Lucy Davis, I think.
Lucy Davis.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, if that's Lucy Davis, then she did a great job. Etta Candy.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I think she was great.
Yeah. I got to agree. I think Gal Gadot is really, really good Wonder Woman.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I sort of, when thinking about, is this DC character a good representation of the character, I relate it back to the best DC media ever, which is the DC animated universe, those TV shows that came out in like the 2000s sort of thing.
Yep.
And the Justice...
Whoa! Don't forget the Dark Knight trilogy there.
No, for me personally, I'm talking about Wonder Woman. It's not in the Dark Knight, Jaden.
Hey, you made a very broad statement there.
Okay. Thanks for catching me there.
Yeah.
Because, you know, a lot of people in this Marvel DC debate just be like, Marvel has better movies. Well, what's the best superhero movie of all time?
The Dark Knight.
It's a DC movie.
It's a DC movie. Come on.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, bit of a tangent. So when I'm examining these DC modern interpretations, I go back to that TV show, Justice League TV show, and I think Gal Gadot is as good as it sort of gets as to that Wonder Woman in the DC AMU, I think it's what it was
Animated
called.
movie universe.
Yeah. Not the movie one, the TV shows, because they're better. But yeah, so she's really good. I think at times she doesn't give the best performances. Like sometimes you can, like she has a few pretty dodgy lines in Snyder Cut.
Yeah.
But most of the time she does a great job. You don't really need that much of an emotional performance from her because everything's sort of happening around her. She's sort of just going through it. But she's really good in this. And my goodness, she's ripped, bro.
Yeah.
She put in the work. And she's a model. So, and if you look at some of her previous movies, she's quite skinny, you know, she's
Fast
quite
and
thin.
Furious. Yeah.
And obviously, you know, with a model background, you know, you've got to be thin as a stick, bro. But she really put in the work for BVS and for this movie, and then also with the Snyder Cut. But then I have to say, man, like I'm not going to body shame her, but like she stopped working out for 1984. I think it's pretty clear. She just didn't have the physicality back in that movie.
I didn't quite pay attention to that, but that might be something interesting to look into.
It's like she doesn't really fit into the suit almost, you know. She's sort of got, because she's really muscular in this, bro. Like, and we were saying, like, damn, look at those shoulders.
Yeah.
And just the biceps, bro.
She was doing like a Captain America, like catching the helicopter sort of thing at one time. And like her bicep was like popping, you know.
Yeah. And even in BVS as well, she's really got that physicality because Wonder Woman needs that physicality. She's a warrior. And I think a lot of the criticism of Gal Gadot stems from Wonder Woman's supposed to be this Amazonian warrior, you know, with the huge muscles and the abs, and Gal Gadot's just a model. But I don't share that sort of that viewpoint.
Neither.
I think she's really, really good. I don't think anybody else can do it better for a very long time. So yeah, no criticism for her in this movie. She's fantastic. She does everything she needs to do. And I also agree with Chris Pine. I mean, hilarious, absolute badass. And oftentimes with these female-led movies, the male protagonist is sort of like becomes a joke. Becomes
like the butt end of the joke.
Exactly. Yeah, they like to sort of belittle them to then uplift the woman. But I mean, my guy's really, really cool, and he's standing next to Wonder Woman, perhaps like one of the coolest superheroes in the world. Yeah. And so, I mean, credit to Chris Pine because he was really good. And shout out to Robin Wright and Connie Nelson as the Amazonian warriors. I mean, they didn't have a major role, but they had a pretty significant role at the very start. And obviously Connie Nelson comes back for Justice League, and so does Robin Wright, actually, for the history lesson.
She does.
So, love them. They were very convincing. Fun fact, Gal Gadot couldn't do the Greek sort of accent. So
look, I was going to bring this up. I think I've probably the biggest issue I have with Gal Gadot is her weird sort of, I think she's Israeli.
Yeah.
So the accent is just like completely off, and at times you can kind of tell that that's like, okay, yeah, we're not even gonna like attempt.
They didn't even try to do.
They didn't even try to do an accent. And yeah, they've just kind of had to carry that through the whole DC universe now, because you can't change it, and then you'll have like the whole Scarlet Witch issue where she was, she had this accent at the start, and now she's like a full blown American.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's probably a lot better than Elizabeth Olsen's sort of take on an accent. But at the same time, it just doesn't fit when you've got like all of the other Themyscira warriors like talking like this, and she's just got this weird Israeli accent going on.
Yeah, because I don't think she could have done the Greek accent. I think that was the problem. So then instead of changing her to the Amazon sort of speech pattern, they changed the Amazons to her speech pattern. So everyone's doing like a Gal Gadot accent for the Amazons. So they all sound like Gal Gadot.
So at least they've kept it like consistent.
Exactly. And that's the thing with these sort of world building films. You do have to keep things consistent. You can't say, here are the rules, and then break them in the next movie just for convenience.
Yeah.
I think the MCU is guilty of doing that a lot.
Yeah.
We jumped forward 5 years for Endgame. We had futuristic cars. We didn't jump back. Then in Far From Home, all of the cars are normal.
And then you have the whole issue about the is it Far From Home or Homecoming that has like the really bad continuity issue where like you
that's
just missed 2 years.
Yeah, that's Homecoming. Yeah, that was terrible. I don't know who
how did they not pick up on that?
That was because I watched a video on that. Just pointing out how terrible the timing
Kevin
of it was.
Feige's like, damn it, the one issue with the MCU.
Yeah.
No, there's multiple.
But that's the thing. When you're telling us you're going to build this universe, drag it over many, many films, you got to connect it. Otherwise, you're not building an actual universe.
Yeah.
And I think we talked about this after the movie finished. This movie actually slots in very well with the DCE universe. And by that we mean the photo of Wonder Woman is used in Batman v Superman, which is a 2016 film.
Yep. Oh, yeah, we were talking about this. Yeah.
And then that same photo is replicated in Wonder Woman, the 2017 film. Like, it's the exact photo.
How did they go about doing that?
What they must have done is... Because you know how Snyder had the original image with Wonder Woman holding like several severed heads? I've sent it to you. There's an image, same sort of style.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have like Chris Pine in it or anything like that.
Oh, yeah. Warner Bros. Probably like, no, we can't do that.
Yeah. But so I reckon they used that one while they were filming, probably. And then in post-production... So when they're just sort of getting ready to release BVS, they put the new photo in because that would have been late 2016 maybe.
When they were filming.
Yeah.
They must have done those scenes in Wonder Woman first.
Yeah, there must have been an overlap there or
a
quick, let's get everyone of this scene together to take a photo before we even start shooting. And then we're just going to replicate that in shooting.
Yeah,
But yeah... the extra effort is much appreciated when we sort of build this universe out, because those details that really matter when you're going from the first film to the fifth film, or something like that. So yeah,
just jumping on the continuity issue, I appreciate that this film fits into the DCEU timeline and it feels like it's a part of it. You have so many films in the DC, and I've just pulled it up here. You've got so many films in the DCEU that just feel so separate, and you can't really tie them together. Shazam, like, how does that even come in? Like, I mean, Birds of Prey doesn't fit. Aquaman doesn't fit. Suicide Squad doesn't fit.
The Suicide
Squad doesn't fit, and I like that film, but it just doesn't come into context with the DCEU or what they were trying to do, 7 years ago, or however long it's been.
Right.
So I appreciate that this film is keeping it consistent and trying to world build here. Yeah.
It's and with that said, it doesn't really get preachy with what's coming next. There's no post-credit scene.
Yeah.
There's no really big tease for Justice League, and that's about it. The movie doesn't even end with the start of Justice League, because when we first see Wonder Woman in the Snyder Cut, she is in England, which is where she was at the end of this film. So, and I was thinking maybe this film...
Was she in Paris? Because she works at the Louvre.
She might have been.
I think she was in Paris. Yeah.
But she shows up in England, right? With, or maybe it is Paris. No, I thought it was England.
Is it England?
Yeah, because...
Because their office is in Paris.
Yeah, no, it is in England because there's the Tower of... there's the bridge, whatever the bridge is called. Oh, I hope none of my British relatives listen to this podcast.
Is it like Buckingham Bridge or?
I don't know, the big London Bridge. I think it's called the London Bridge.
The London Bridge?
Yeah.
It's falling down.
It goes over that, and there's like Big Ben. And
You're disgraceful. Come on, how can you call yourself English?
Yeah, well, so I think she is in England, but yeah, she could be in Paris in this film, and very easily.
At the start, she definitely is, because we see the Louvre, and her office is in Paris.
Right.
Yeah, so she's in Paris at the start, but I'm not sure about the ending.
So she must have gone to England then to start Justice League.
Oh, no,
but she is working.
She's working in her office, and then she like gets up and she like jumps out the window. I don't know, man.
Yeah, we'll have to do some research. Well, we sort of talked ourselves into a corner there, haven't we? All right, so let's go to then the visuals. What did you think about the visuals? This is probably going to take up a considerable amount of this podcast, but what did you think of sort of the cinematography and then the visual effects as well?
Okay. I'm not exactly sure who was the director of photography here. I'm just trying to pull it up. Matthew Jensen. What's he done? He's done Fantastic. Great.
Oh no.
Yeah, he's got a pretty bad history going on here. I think there's some really good shots in this, and I think there's some very, very terrible shots in this.
Yeah, I agree.
Actually. It's so mixed, and I don't even know how you can achieve that. The consistency wise, it's terrible. Because some of the scenes on Themyscira look beautiful, and you can tell that they've shot on location. And then they just like
at least half on location.
I know, and then they just like switch back to this weird CGI island.
Yeah.
Oh, it's terrible at some points.
Some of the wide shots of Themyscira look incredible. It looks like some like Lord of the Rings sort of set with the white castles and the waterfalls. It looks really nice. And then we sort of transition to maybe just a conversation. And it's like, oh no, that background is green screen, my friend.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
it's
I
pretty
agree.
horrendous at times. Yeah. And there's a lot of I think you call it like CG doubles or something, where they replace a physical human with a CG double. And obviously, being CG, it's very hard to replicate faces and whatnot and a realistic human motion. So some of those shots where Zack Snyder's coming to do like his classic slow-mo, Wonder Woman sliding across the floor, or Themyscira warrior doing a triple backflip in the air.
Yeah, which is awesome.
You can point out that it's a CG double, and I think I did it once to you, and I was like, oh my god, that looks horrendous. And it just kind of begs the question, why don't you just hide their face and have them backwards? It would look so much better. Because, oh my god, it looks terrible.
Yeah, and it's sort of a problem that was destined to happen with this movie, because we have Wonder Woman, and she has to move faster than humans move. And she has to jump higher and faster, but she's not flying. She can't be Superman in the sense that like she's just really, really strong, flies really, really strong. That's sort of Superman's thing. And yeah, in this, it sort of transitions from Gal Gadot stunt double fighting to then this CG character that has to move faster than any stunt double could possibly move and do flips and jump higher and all of that. So I appreciate the commitment to try and make the Wonder Woman character, like she is in the comics with the powers that she has in the comics. But yeah, it just suffers from that CG thing. And maybe this film was probably rushed out. Yeah. Like a lot of the MCU movies, and the visual effects just were a bit lacking.
Yeah, I think you might have a different opinion on this. But it's like a continual issue that I think Zack Snyder has. I think it's his problem, where he just can't get a character such as the Flash or Wonder Woman moving at a natural sort of pace.
Okay.
It's kind of similar to some of the slow-mo scenes with the Flash in the Justice League,
Right.
or even Zack Snyder's Justice League, where his legs just don't match like the speed that the environment's like moving at.
Yeah.
And it just like looks really awkward. And I'm not trying to pick up on the Flashpoint scene where he goes like back in time.
Yeah.
Because I think that one's actually pretty good.
Mm.
But just some of like his running sequences just look horrendous in the
That's fair.
Suicide in Zack Snyder's Justice League.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a good comparison point because his Superman looks really good. Like, there's... However, though, when Superman's doing hand-to-hand combat and it's going really, really fast, it looks a bit weird.
Yeah, I think it's like the motion blur in the background.
Yeah.
And then like the really crisp like face of like Gal Gadot or Henry Cavill. So you can like tell them apart and you can tell that it's like a green screen and like
Yeah.
it's just very easy to discern, yeah.
Yeah, this film is very conflicting in terms of the visuals because we have maybe like 5 shots that look gorgeous. You know, maybe we have like the yellow smoke, or we have like the explosions at the end, or
Yep.
even the no man's land scene. Like, it's a piece of art. It looks so good. And goodness me, the promotional material. Have you seen some of the posters for this movie, bro? There are some...
I like the traditional one that's on Letterboxd.
Yeah,
I'm a fan of that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of those ones with the orange background, and they just nailed the artistic, and to the sequel's credit as well. The sequel posters are cool as well. They're pretty awesome.
Like the rainbow.
Yeah. So they're always playing with the colors, and I mean, visually in terms of the set design, I think it looks quite cool. The costumes are fantastic. Like Gal Gadot's costume. It was fantastic in BVS. They just brightened it up a bit here, which makes sense.
Yeah.
Because obviously it's more clean here. You know, it's less battle hardened.
Yeah, she's literally just started using it.
Yeah, it's a fresh suit. So, so that was really cool, and I think the DC universe does this a lot better than Marvel with the costumes. I think Superman's costume, Batman's costume, Wonder Woman's costume, far superior than Iron Man's suit, Captain America's costume.
Shang-Chi's suit is literally just like a jacket. He's just wearing a jacket.
Just a red jacket.
It's
or
bad.
something.
Yeah.
Oh well. Or just like, I don't know, I guess that's better than just a mocap suit, and we'll do it later.
Yeah.
But oh well. All right, so let's go to then a bit of sound. What did you like in terms of sound of this movie, or perhaps what did you not like in terms of sound in this movie?
I thought the sound design was pretty good. I don't really have any issues with it. I think, obviously the soundtrack is phenomenal. But yeah, in terms of like fighting sequences, yeah, it worked for me. Yeah, don't have any real issues with it.
Yeah, I think the music's good. I don't listen to this like I listen to the Batman v Superman or the Snyder Cut, or even Man of Steel. Well, I say even Man of Steel, that's one of the best ones. But,
you're forgetting about Flight.
Yeah, exactly. And Hans Zimmer, the god. But yeah, so the Wonder Woman theme, obviously brilliant, fantastic. We love it. There are a few good songs, but most of the time it's like, okay, we've sort of... Where's Hans Zimmer gone, guys? We've lost him for now. Perhaps he was busy. I don't know what he was doing in 2017.
Poor man's Hans Zimmer.
2017, I don't know what Hans Zimmer was up to. Maybe he was doing Interstellar or something, but...
2017.
That was...
Interstellar was 16, I think.
Yeah, so... Yeah, I don't know.
No. 2014 was Interstellar, I'm pretty sure. I could be just completely wrong.
Yeah, actually, that's right. Yeah. Before 2014. Yeah.
What was he doing in 2017?
Yeah, we've got to find out because he needs to be in these DC movies. I mean,
he's what makes the DC movies.
Exactly, you know, and the DC music has been fantastic. You know, think of Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, Snyder Cut.
Yep.
Incredible music in all of those films.
Yeah.
So that's really, really cool, and I always enjoyed the music. In any film in general. So we'll touch a bit more on the music towards the end, but if you don't have any more general thoughts, I guess we can sort of dive into spoiler territory. So yeah, if you have not seen the film, if you're a DC fan, and you want to do a rewatch of all the DC movies, the good ones anyway, because you don't want to watch all of them. My goodness me.
No.
You want to skip.
There's a few you want to skip.
You want to skip at least 75% of them. Let's be real.
There's actually a few good ones now. They've kind of found their footing. Suicide Squad. Oh, God forbid I make that mistake. The Suicide Squad, Zack Snyder's Justice League, BVS Ultimate Edition, Wonder Woman. I think that's all of them. So you got 4.
Can I add Man of Steel?
No, don't add Man of Steel. Don't even try to add that in there.
Oh, okay, I tried.
That's near the bottom.
Yeah. But certainly better than the likes of Birds of Prey and Wonder Woman.
Listen to the soundtrack instead.
Of what?
Of Man of Steel.
Oh,
Yeah.
right, okay. So
you're really furious right now.
On that note then, let's talk about what made this a way superior film than its sequel. Famously, obviously, you, Jaden, are very famous for walking out of Wonder Woman 1984.
It's kind of my thing.
That was a big political stand that you took. You stood up in the theatre and you said, I will not tolerate this.
I'm out of here.
I'm leaving. And you made it very dramatic, and everyone in the theatre was...
And everyone was clapping.
Was obviously, commending you. You
bowing.
You orchestrated a walkout, mass walkout,
Yep.
and obviously Wonder Woman 84 did not do well at the box office. No. So I think you have... we can thank you for that.
Yep.
So
you're welcome, everyone.
What went wrong?
What?
Because something has gone terribly wrong.
What did go wrong, man? Did Zack Snyder even write? He produced.
That doesn't mean anything. He also produced Birds of Prey.
Well, there you go. That's what went wrong. He didn't write on the sequel. Zack Snyder, this is essentially a Zack Snyder film.
Yeah.
Come on, we all know it.
Yeah.
We just don't want to say it because it's obviously by Patty Jenkins. Imagine not bringing Zack Snyder back for Wonder Woman 1984. And I think there was several issues surrounding him at this sort of period in time, 2020, or rather 2017 to 2020, because obviously he had to leave for several family issues.
Yeah.
So he wasn't able to complete Justice League.
And then they just kicked him out. Because they were trying to get rid of him for a long time. They were trying to really get rid of him since BVS. And then obviously the family dramas happened. Terrible situation. And of course, Warner Bros. Being the class act that they are, used that family tragedy to kick him out.
Yep.
You're gone. We don't want your vision because people said BVS was bad and that hurts our feelings. So, goodbye.
Yeah. That's what went wrong with the sequel, is that you don't have Zack Snyder writing on it. And simply put, that's the reason. There's no other reason.
Right.
You can tell by the poster. I mean, Zack Snyder's not going to be writing on that. Come on. It's like, it's just like happy colors.
Yeah.
Wonder Woman's now gold.
Yeah.
Come on, man. I mean, it's just disappointing that you do that to him, because he's always the man behind the curtain, just sort of puppeteering everything.
He was the Kevin Feige of the DC.
Yeah,
universe.
he's like the dude in the behind like the green curtain and like the Wizard of Oz.
He's orchestrating.
He's orchestrating everything.
He's putting it together for us.
And if you take him out of the equation, what are you going to get? You're going to get like a 2.4 on Letterboxd.
Yeah, that's what you get. Get what you deserve.
Good censor in there.
As Joker said.
Yes. Well, loosely translated.
Yes. Censored. Okay, but then what went right in this film compared to...
Zack Snyder was writing it.
No. So what did you like specifically about this film? Because I know it has issues. We'll get to them. But what did you really like?
I think the story was... it was pretty good. It's a good origin story. I like how it fits into the universe. I've already said that. I think the score's pretty good, but I can't really hate on the sequel for that because Hans Zimmer did both.
Right.
Well, Hans Zimmer did the second.
Yeah, the second one.
Was kind of a part of the first.
Yeah.
I just think it's a far superior film overall. It's got clear intentions, whereas the second one was just kind of like this blatant mess just thrown together. I mean, even like the starting sequence of that is like terrible. Like they're in this 80s sort of mall and like Wonder Woman's like doing flips in the air and saving children. It's just such a joke, man. Yeah, I'm trying to like talk about the
2017,
original,
yeah.
but like I can't without hating on the sequel.
Yeah, okay. All right, so the film sort of begins with Themyscira. You know, we're introduced to the Themysciran culture. It's not really hinted at all in BVS. So this is the audience being told about Wonder Woman's, where she comes from, who she is, who she sort of, the race she's a part of. What do you like about, or not like about, the Themysciran sort of backstory and the sort of world, Themyscira world?
That was one of my favorite parts of it. I love how it's like female power.
Yeah, yeah.
Cool, man. Like,
without the pretentious.
Yeah, exactly.
Captain Marvel.
Yeah, I absolutely love Themyscira. I think all of the actors do a really good job. You know, minus the visual effects issues like we talked about before.
Those CGI, I mean, they didn't bring the performance that we needed.
Yeah, the CGI doubles.
Yes.
Terrible acting.
Yeah, we can dunk on them because they don't exist.
They don't have feelings.
Yeah.
I think I'm like a big sucker for like Greek and Norse mythology. So having that whole sort of introduction with Ares and Zeus and like all of the brothers, and you've got Hippolyta in there as well.
Yeah.
Cool, man. Like I love that. It's very similar to Percy Jackson in a way, except Percy Jackson's like a terrible film. Yeah, I'm like a sucker for like Greek mythology, and that's probably why the history lesson is like one of my favorite parts in Snyder Cut.
Yeah, yeah.
Even like the shots look pretty cool, and like
It was like an oil painting sort of come to life with a bit of animation,
like a Da Vinci sort of
just
art
like a
piece.
moving painting.
It's cool, right?
Yeah, it was cool. And obviously, you know, they got to give us this exposition because, you know, we've got to know, where does Diana come from? And she was sculpted from clay. And we're like, what on earth? Like, that is not a thing that happens. And like, oh, let's explain the mythology of it. And, you know, Ares and Zeus, which we both see in the history lesson, actually.
Yeah.
The Snyder Cut history lesson, Ares is played by whoever is...
David, I think his name's David Thewlis, but I'm not quite sure how to pronounce his surname.
Yeah, the Lupin guy from Harry Potter.
Yep.
So he's actually playing Ares there, which is cool because, you know, continuity. We like that. And then obviously his father, Ares, with the not Ares, Zeus, with the whole lightning and stuff, taking on Darkseid. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And I think Wonder Woman's backstory is one of the more interesting backstories of any superhero character in general. Just sort of this island that she comes from.
Yep.
And the culture there, and it's really interesting. You know, it's much more interesting than, say, Iron Man. You know,
Iron Man's history is like, it's pretty cool how like he starts off in a cave, but
I mean, I just said a superhero, that the first superhero that came to mind. Obviously, Iron Man's very popular, and the origin story for that by Jon Favreau was really good. But it doesn't have sort of like the depth that Wonder Woman has. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And that's because it's backed by probably one of the coolest, history. What would you even call it? Like a timeline? I mean, Greek mythology. You can't go wrong with it.
Yeah,
it's just cool stuff.
Yeah, and lots of interesting themes to draw from, and the cultural practices and things like that. Ancient warriors, very cool. But yeah, so I really enjoy the Themyscira. I honestly think the first 40 minutes of this movie is a lot stronger than the rest of the movie. I think the setup is very good. I think the best battle is that beach battle that comes after Steve Trevor crashes onto Themyscira, and we get the Germans v Themyscirans. I think that's really, really cool.
Yep.
Great choreography, even though there is some CGI.
Dodgy stuff going on.
That's right. But at the same time, then we get some really cool action choreography with Hippolyta shooting people with arrows and doing cool flips and everything like that. So, yeah, I think the movie sort of peaks, if not there, at the no man's land thing. I think it's
100%.
Sort of all downhill from there.
Yeah.
Because I think the third act of this movie is quite sloppy. But
yeah, I think it's very sloppy.
But yes, so let's... you have any thoughts about the Themysciran battle, or...?
Not in particular. I just wanted to touch on the dialogue. As we mentioned, there's a lot of funny stuff in here, and I think that actually fits in a way.
Yeah.
I think it kind of needed it in this movie. I think Steve Trevor is a bit of a odd choice to go with the humor. But yeah, it works with him in a way. I'm not going to say that was bad at all because he's probably one of the better parts of the movie.
Yeah.
But I've got some issues with exposition in this movie. There is like a bunch of exposition, and like that whole starting sequence is a lot, but I can understand why they need that.
Yeah.
It's done in a pretty good way, but at the end where we see Ares and like he's talking to Wonder Woman, and
that was...
it's just like blah blah blah.
Yeah. Let me tell you my motives before you kill me and wrap the movie up. But first I have to make it all make sense.
Yes.
Listen to me, Wonder Woman.
And I've also got an issue with David Thewlis in this.
Oh, yeah, me too.
I think he's like the most miscast.
Oh, yes,
person
that's
ever.
exactly right.
It's a sort of similar to what I have an issue with Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor.
Yeah.
Except I think this one's a lot worse.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah.
Do
we want to touch on that
now?
now?
Should we come to the... let's go then. Okay. So the main villain in this movie is not good. And I think when we're looking at superhero films, it's only fair that you judge the hero how good they are, and you judge the villain, see how good they are. If they're both fantastic, you have The Dark Knight, or you have Zack Snyder's Justice League, or you have Infinity War.
Yeah.
Gal Gadot's a fantastic Wonder Woman, man. In this situation, I think we have a TASM 2 paradox.
Yes, the TASM 2 paradox.
Yes.
We coined it here first.
It's the TASM 2 effect. We have a really, really cool hero. Great performance. Probably the best portrayal of the hero that we could possibly get.
Yep.
And then on the villain side of the aisle, we have... First off, not one. We have three.
Three villains.
Villains.
It's literally the TASM 2 paradox.
It's literally TASM 2.
Wait, is there three? There is three villains in that.
You'd think they would learn, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
You'd think they would judge the competition, see, okay, they went for three villains. Bold.
Yep.
Didn't work. Let's not do that.
No, let's try it again.
We can do it. We can do it this time, okay? No, you cannot, Warner Bros.
I don't think any of them work.
Yeah.
I think they're all...
rank them for me, though. What's your favourite?
Professor Poison.
Yeah. Number one.
Yes, number one. It's equal between Ares and the other dude. Ludendorff, or whatever his name is.
Yeah, that's the same with me, actually.
They're both terrible. They're all terrible.
Dr. Poison showed promise.
Yeah.
And I think if she was the sole villain, it could have been really cool. But my goodness. Ludendorff...
that sigh of pain.
I enjoy this movie a lot. I enjoy watching this movie, but God, I cannot watch that character. It's just it just takes the energy out of the movie for me.
It makes like a serious film like comic booky, you know what I mean? Like just halfway through they introduce like these blue pills.
Yeah, and then like snort some blue
gas. Oh, it's so bad. And I don't even know why they needed him in this film. Like, I think they were kind of trying to go for the Ares is over here.
Yeah, the mystery element.
Yeah,
but how about we just axe him from the film? Because maybe...
You've already got Ares, like, hiding in plain sight.
Yeah,
like, to be fair, I would say that there's no way you're going to notice that that's Ares, but... I feel pretty proud of myself for calling that out the first time I watched it. I was like, that dude's Ares.
Yeah. Interesting. Good job. I didn't pick that up.
You didn't think that? Yeah.
I really do, though.
It's like, you don't cast David Thewlis as like just some British general.
Yeah.
Like, he's got a bigger part in the film.
That's fair. Yeah.
So, yeah, I picked up on that. But, you know, to the general audience viewer, you're not going to pick up on it. So you don't need this other dude that's trying to pose as Ares, who's like snorting blue pills and like he's sort of Ares in disguise. You don't need that. Just axe that from the film. And then you've essentially got like Professor Poison doing her own thing, because Ares only comes in at the final act.
Yeah.
So I don't even know why Ludendorff was in there. He's such a joke in this film.
Honestly, the first scene just says it all. Okay, so the first time we see the character, we're like, okay, we're being introduced to this general. I mean, he's on the German side of World War One, so obviously he is the bad guy in this situation. We can infer that from history itself. So let's see what he's about. Oh my god, he just shot someone for no reason. I guess he's the bad guy. I guess he must be Ares, bro.
Just in case, like, the whole audience viewing the film didn't know that the German people were the bad guys.
Maybe we're going to take it a bit deeper, you know, maybe he has motives.
Yeah.
Not just just shot him for no reason.
He's the bad guy. He's Ares.
He just turned around and shot one of his officers.
Yeah.
These are bad people for sure, and they were bad people in real life, but I don't know if they just turn around and just shoot one of their officers just essentially for fun and demonstrate to the other officers that they should stay in line.
And then they gas like a whole office of them. Like,
that scene could have been cut altogether.
Yeah, that's how you can trim down the movie, because this movie needs like 20 to 30 minutes just cut.
Yeah. They were going for like this buddy dynamic between Dr. Poison and Ludendorff as well.
I know.
Just cut it. Why do we need that? Cut, gone.
You could easily make like Professor Poison. Is that her name?
No, that's the nickname, Dr. Poison.
Dr. Poison.
Her name's like Mao or something.
Dr. Poison. You could easily just have Dr. Poison as like this menacing, evil woman who you just hate, you know?
It's Dr. Maru.
Yeah. We'll call her Dr. Poison.
Yeah, and she was supposed to come back for Justice League 2 and do some stuff on Themyscira with the gas and everything like that. But so she was a promising villain, but should have just used her as the main villain for this movie, I think. And maybe you can work some Ares themes in there, but my gosh, whoever's cast as Ares, my goodness me, you should not be in that role, my friend.
I know.
You look too nice of a man to be the god of war, my friend. Like, you need...
And not to be rude to David Thewlis.
No, I think I'm giving him a compliment. Like, he looks like a nice man. Like, he looks like he could do no harm. And you're telling me he's the god of war. Like, it doesn't get much more evil than that.
Yep. Like, I think he's too old for the role as well.
Okay.
Like, he plays this old general British dude.
Yeah.
And you just can't even picture him as Ares. Like, when he has the helmet on, you can see, like, his mustache in it.
Yeah.
Oh, it looks horrendous.
Yeah, the third act is not good.
And, like, he's not a buff guy either. Like, he's just, like...
He doesn't have the imposing nature of him, you know?
Yeah, and then you've got, like, a... Sort of like a scene where, like, it flashes back in time and he's, like, sitting in a cave. And, like, you can tell that, like, he's been CGI'd because, like, he's really buff. And then at the end, like, when you see his armor, he looks really buff.
Yeah.
But that's not what he looked like as the general dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just a big miss on all parts.
Yeah, wrong actor for that one. I would have gone for, personally, like, bigger physique. You know, I mean, like, Dave Bautista maybe, like, could have done a
Dave Bautista would have been
pretty, like, insane God of War in terms of, like, he's not convincing as the God of War, like the original dude. But
it's kind of like casting like Gary Oldman as Ares. It's just a weird. Yeah.
You need somebody more menacing to bring a presence. And look, the guy's a great actor. He was cool in Harry Potter, you know. But you don't look at that Harry Potter performance and go, you know what? I think that guy could be a good God of War.
Yeah.
Nah.
Yeah.
It doesn't work for me.
It's weird.
But anyway, let's get back to the good stuff.
Yeah.
Wonder Woman and Steve Trevor. How's that chemistry going?
Yeah, I really like their chemistry. I think it's some of the most natural comic book stuff we've gotten. Miles above like MJ and Spider-Man. Yeah. I would say all three.
Yeah.
But you know, Gwen Stacy and I think Peter Parker probably have the best. I think their chemistry is really good. I think Steve Trevor's sacrifice at the end is probably one of the better parts of the movie. Even though it like takes place in this massive mess of CGI, just rubbish. It's one of the better parts of the movie, in my opinion, is when it's kind of cool how they did it actually, because the first time you see it, obviously you're from the perspective of Wonder Woman and she's just been sort of deafened.
Yeah.
So you can't hear anything that he's saying, and then he goes up, blows up, and then we come back down and do it all again, and you can hear it this time. Cool. I think that was really awesome. Yeah. And then him going up and shooting the bombs and stuff. I think it's like a good send off for the character. Yeah.
Yeah, he was consistently good throughout the film, and that's quite an achievement considering in many action scenes we go from really well choreographed action with Wonder Woman, with an awesome Wonder Woman theme. She's beating up people. She's looking beautiful while she's doing it. Dangerous, like you wouldn't want to mess with her.
Yeah.
And then you cut to ordinary man.
Yeah.
And he's just as cool. You know,
I know.
He's a hero. You know, he's going around. He's just literally shooting dudes, which is
he's like cocking the gun on the ground and
cool.
boom. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's cool stuff, man.
Yeah, and I just love the fact that he is just murdering people, and so is Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
And that's okay. You know, this is not Batman.
Is it okay?
Well, no, Wonder Woman kills people. She's a warrior, man.
Yeah,
Like,
but at the same time, it's kind of like she wants to free everyone from Ares, so she believes everyone's good.
yeah,
It's just
it
Ares has
conflicts.
this presence over everyone.
It does conflict, and at the end, she's like, the only thing that can save the world is love. After we've just seen her like murder like hundreds of people.
It just came to me actually. Like I actually hate the ending, like where the German people like wake up and they're like, "Oh yeah, sorry guys." It's like
Sorry,
that's
about
not
that.
how it works. Like
Sorry
if
about that
you're
one.
making this in like a historical piece, like a time period piece. That's not how that works. Like, yeah, Ares had this whole presence and stuff, but you can't just like have like the Germans start hugging like the British at the end. That's so bad. Like,
It's a bit of a like hint towards like the mind control, and mind control is the worst comic book MacGuffin to use, or like just like a way to make people go bad or go good all of a sudden.
guess
Widow.
yeah, I was just gonna say, guess another film that's used mind control or like nose control.
Lots of bad films have used just they were under the influence of mind control. Everyone's happy now.
I know.
Just snorting the red gas. It's okay, guys. But yeah, I think it would have been interesting, and we did see a bit of it, of Wonder Woman thinks she's killed Ares, and then the German people still, the soldiers are still fighting, you know, on both sides. Because it's just a bit more complicated than that. And I don't, as much as I like to think that Ares is killed and then everyone just goes back to being happy again, it's not that realistic. But then again, this is Wonder Woman. Like, I don't know. I'm kind of conflicted on this one.
Oh, I'm 100% against this.
The ending.
It's a mess, man. Like it doesn't make sense to me how you're gonna have all this historical context going on. You're gonna set it in the period of World War One, and then you're gonna have German people just hugging, you know, the opposite side at the end. It's like, does it mean that there's no more wars? Does that mean World War II didn't start, or did Ares return? Like, there's so many, you know, plot holes going on because of that, and they just didn't take that into account. Yeah.
Yeah, but then if she kills Ares at the end and then everyone just continues fighting, we don't necessarily have a fulfilling conclusion to the movie. If you know what I mean?
Yeah. So either way, you're stuffed.
But okay, so this is what happened with Wonder Woman. Okay, I think the third act was rewritten, and by Jeff Johns. Do you know who that is?
No.
Okay, let me read you the. So he's a comic book writer. Okay.
Yep.
DC Warner Bros. Employee. So let's go and see the movies he's produced. Okay.
Oh God, here we go.
The DC movies he's produced. Okay. So we have Green Lantern with Ryan Reynolds.
Oh, what a great start!
It only gets better from here. And think of the movies that are missing from this. Okay. So we have Justice League 2017, Wonder Woman 1984, Aquaman, Shazam, Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice, Suicide Squad 2016, Birds of Prey, and Wonder Woman.
So like all the good films are missing.
Yeah.
All the good DC films.
And he's also been accused by Ray Fisher of enabling Joss Whedon's behavior on set of Justice League 2017.
Yep.
So this guy came in to rewrite the finale, and I think that's where we got the Ares exposition from and everything like that. From what people have heard, Snyder's ending was a bit more grounded, a bit more like the warrior aspect. So look, I don't know, maybe it was a better movie before he came along and ruined it, but
I'm not that big of a fan of Snyder's endings either. So
Yeah, fair enough.
The only one that I really liked was the Snyder Cut.
Yeah.
All the other ones I really hated.
Yeah, fair enough.
BVS. Actually, BVS isn't bad.
Yeah.
Man of Steel's horrendous. That just keeps going on and on and on and on and on. And then what's his other movie?
Well, there's Justice League, BVS.
Justice League,
Man of
BVS,
Steel.
Man of Steel. Yeah.
What, do you want like Army of the Dead or something?
Yeah. All of them I don't really like.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. Okay. Let's go back to midway through the movie. The No Man's Land scene. Mm-hmm. It's one of the better scenes just in the DC universe in general, and it's probably the highlight of the DCEU so far, bar Zack Snyder's Justice League.
Yep.
Just that moment is just so powerful and cool.
Yep.
And they just nail the music and they nail the slow-mo and the dramatic element of it. Mm-hmm. And so what do you like about the No Man's Land scene?
Everything. I think it perfectly encapsulates Wonder Woman as a character. I think the moment where she sort of, she's arguing with all the people in the trench and she's like, okay, well, I'm going to get up and do it myself then.
Yeah.
Really powerful stuff. And how it's all in slow-mo. She's shielding herself from all the bullets and then everyone else gets up and runs and stuff. Yeah, it's just a really cool scene. Probably the highlight of the film, if not Steve Trevor's sacrifice.
Sacrifice, yeah, for sure. Definitely up there. And the action scene that follows of her sort of in one of the buildings fighting like 6 or 7 dudes, it's very similar to the Batman warehouse scene, but obviously this is Wonder Woman, so people are going to go flying and windows are going to get smashed. Everyone's going to be flying everywhere. And
it's very similar to the hostage scene in Snyder Cut as well. At the start.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it's very Snyder action. It's a lot of slow mo, a lot of Wonder Woman just like out and out obliterating dudes, and that's okay with me, because that's what she's a warrior. So she does that. Patty Jenkins saying this whole like Wonder Woman doesn't use a sword. It's like, mate, you directed this movie, and
I mean, it's what do you have to like do to? It's like, do you forget that you directed this film? Like, what is going on? I don't understand.
Yeah, for those of you confused, Patty Jenkins is the director of this movie and the director of the sequel, which is far inferior. But obviously, she wrote the sequel.
Yep.
She didn't write this one. But anyway, she's since come out and said, I don't like Wonder Woman using weapons because I don't think that's just in her character. Mm-hmm. But her character is a warrior?
I mean, is that just like clear proof that she had no development? She wasn't involved in the first film. Like, has she not watched the film? Like, she directed this. Her name is on this. Yeah. Wonder Woman is using a sword for like 99% of this movie.
Yeah, and she's stabbed a lot of dudes with the sword, including the main bad guy. Just boom, straight through the chest, stab, dead, murder.
It just hurts to think about it.
Yeah.
How can you be that incompetent? I'm sorry, but you can't go back on that and say she doesn't use a sword. Yeah. You made her use a sword.
Yeah.
It makes no sense.
And even when she's not using the sword, the lasso, it looks fantastic.
That does look pretty cool.
The golden lasso. There isn't a blue filter on this movie, actually.
But there isn't.
A lot of the scenes are very blue.
Yeah.
And when she whips out the lasso, it's just like, it's so cool. Yeah. Really cool contrast. This bright light in this sort of dim, dark war-like setting. It's just really, really cool. And she uses it quite well, I think. Like, she makes good use of all of her weapons, like the shield, the sword, the lassos, and then her little, cross explosion thing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the combat's really good, and they get the core components of Wonder Woman right. Mm-hmm. And by they, I mean Zack Snyder.
Yeah.
Because obviously Patty Jenkins has nothing to do with this movie, man.
Yeah. I so badly want to say that Patty Jenkins made a good film, man. And it's just clear that it's not her film. She didn't really have any part in this. Warner Bros. Just kind of wanted her name to be slapped on this. We've cut Snyder now, so here's Patty Jenkins to do Wonder Woman. Yeah, it's so disrespectful in so many accounts. I mean, this is his movie, it's clear. It's the same style as all of his other movies. And then she just puts her name on this.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Do you have any other thoughts about the film that you want to share? I mean, I just keep coming back to, we have solid chemistry between the main characters, and Wonder Woman and the sidekicks work really well together. There's good humor. There's good action. There's a good story for about half of the movie.
Yeah.
I did feel, though, that it got a bit boring in the middle when we were trying to set up that third act.
Yeah. No, you're definitely right there. It drags a bit, and that's a problem with the time. 2 hours and 20 minutes is very long for an origin film.
Right. But, yeah, I mean, I'm struggling for other thoughts on this movie, to be honest.
Yeah.
And we've kind of been harsh on it, but I think this is still by far the best female-led superhero movie we have gotten by a considerable margin.
A very, very considerable margin.
Because unfortunately, we've only had 4 at this stage, which is embarrassing. It's embarrassing for Marvel primarily because DC have sort of only just gotten into the superhero game.
DC has, only a handful of films, whereas Marvel has 24, 25.
Oh my goodness
and they've got one female-led superhero.
Yeah, and you could argue that Ant-Man and the Wasp was co-led, but it wasn't really. It was sort of Paul Rudd was still the leading man.
Yeah.
So we've had Wonder Woman 1984, Black Widow, and Captain Marvel. Jesus Christ, man. This is embarrassing. What is going wrong? I don't understand why some of the male-led films have seemingly been given more, I don't know,
production value.
Yeah, and writing prowess. They've gotten better writers. And here's Zack Snyder coming in to do Wonder Woman, and then he's kicked out, for God's sakes.
I know. It's just wrong on so many accounts, and even the fact that Wonder Woman isn't that good of a film, it just shows that there's a lack of female superhero awareness going out there. Because it's not like there's a lack of superhero females.
Yeah.
There's probably just as many females as there is males out there. And there was a period back in 2008 where no one wanted to see female-led superhero films. It's just so disgraceful on both accounts of, Marvel and DC.
It's weird that the first one is still the best one. Wonder Woman sort of came in and wasn't really concerned of the fact that it was a female-led movie. It just sort of got on with the story of Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
And Wonder Woman's I think she's top 5 most popular comic book characters just across all media. And so it makes sense that she would be the first to sort of pioneer the way, because I don't think Black Widow's probably even cracking the top 10, to be honest. No offense to ScarJo, obviously.
Yeah.
But, and Captain Marvel, I mean, she'd be lucky to crack the top 20, top 50 probably.
Top 50, yeah.
Top 200, sorry. But, yeah, I don't know what needs to happen, but Wonder Woman 1984 is not good enough, and I don't think we can give this a pass because it was the first female-led movie. We're not going to do that. We're going to rate it like we rate every other film because that's equality, guys.
Yep.
And I think Captain Marvel, for instance, terrible film.
Yeah.
But we're not allowed to say that. No.
Because, imagine if we said that,
Black Widow, terrible film. Not allowed to say that. Not allowed to say that. Otherwise, ScarJo will see you, mate.
It just sucks that we've reached this point where if you comment about a female directed film, if you comment about a female led film in the superhero genre, you are going to get flamed for it if you hate it. So I think that there's a serious issue going on here. If you hate Iron Man, no one's going to pick up on that.
Yeah.
They'll be like, okay, I liked it, you hated it, cool, let's move on. If you hated Captain Marvel, whoa, you are done for. Watch out. Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny how that works.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is a good movie for most of its runtime, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
It gets lost along the way, which, to be honest, a lot of comic book movies do.
Yeah.
They sort of start strong start, and they sort of wither as they go. But shall we move to some music segment? Perhaps,
Yep.
before we wrap it up. So there are 2 songs going into the Rewatch playlist this movie watch, this podcast, and that is Wonder Woman's Wrath. No, it's not, sorry. Amazons of Themyscira.
Mm-hmm.
That's the one. That's the one at the start, right?
Yep.
And you like that one?
Love that one.
And the second one is No Man's Land.
Yep.
When she's going through No Man's Land.
Yeah.
Fair enough, right?
Mm.
But yeah, I think the first one's really cool because it's sort of that Wonder Woman theme that we know and love from Hans Zimmer, and there's sort of a subtle version of that sort of builds up while we get those like opening credits or opening like logos.
Mm-hmm.
No Man's Land, obviously, the music goes full scale because Wonder Woman's doing something that's really, really cool.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that was good. I mean, Rupert Gregson Williams did the music for this.
Mm-hmm.
He's done the music for classic films such as Over the Hedge.
Look, Over the Hedge actually has like a really good soundtrack.
Well, that's what I say. That's what
Yeah.
I say, you know.
I mean, hate the dude all you want.
No, I don't hate the dude.
Yeah, no, I think I think he's actually done some pretty good stuff.
He does. I've misquoted.
Yeah.
I've like
You're
taken
digging
the
yourself a
worst
hole
part of
here.
his resume here. But do you know the other films? He's done some other.
I mentioned them before, didn't I? Like I brought it up like briefly, and then we just kind of glimpsed over it here. Like I think I've got it here real quick. Over the Hedge.
Hacksaw Ridge, that's a good one.
Did he do that?
Yeah, Hacksaw Ridge has good music towards the end, especially. Not particularly strong throughout, but there's some good music when you need good music there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the B movie, that's a classic. Grown Ups 2, that's a classic.
So yeah, he's done Aquaman, which I don't remember. B movie, yeah. B movie had some cool songs in it. Like, hate the movie all you want, but like, had some really cool songs.
Aquaman, he's gonna do Aquaman 2.
Fatherhood was the other one.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really remember the music from that, to be honest.
What a weird filmography this dude has. Like, he's got like Paul Blart, Mall Cop in here.
Yeah.
And then he's got like Growing Up, and then he's got like Wonder Woman.
Weird stuff.
It looks like the dude's like a fan of Adam Sandler. Like,
Yeah.
look how many Adam Sandler films are in here.
Yeah, there must have been some sort of deal going on there, but yeah, you got Blended and Bedtime Stories and stuff.
There's so many Adam Sandler. What? Okay, that's weird.
Look, it's not one of the better DC scores, but it's still
Yeah.
pretty good, and I think it would still rank, above most of the Marvel movies in terms of the score.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's go to final thoughts. Who would like to go
You go
first?
first.
Oh, goodness me. Okay. Right, well, originally I was going to start off with a B. Am I going to keep it at a B? Look, I think we've been mostly negative, which is, I think, harsh. I think we've been pretty harsh on this film, because it is one of the better DCEU films.
I think we're just naturally sort of drawn to finding all the negatives in this film.
Yeah, and everyone likes to point out how bad the villains are in comic book movies.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's a vital component of these stories. You need a good antagonist, and this film just doesn't have one.
Yeah.
So automatically, I don't think it can get up into the A category.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in terms of what's left, we have an incredible performance from Gal Gadot and Chris Pine. Great characters, great costume design. Cinematography, a bit hit or miss. Music, a bit hit or miss. So, I don't know, man. Wonder Woman's a sick character, and I feel like this movie did her justice, but I don't think it did the surrounding elements justice. So, look, I think I'm going to be optimistic. I'm a big fan of this movie at the end of the day, so I'm going to lock in the B rating.
The B rating.
B rating.
Okay.
Just to go with the B movie from the composer.
I was just going to bring that up. There's a lot of B's.
It's like poetry.
Yeah. Should I go now?
Yeah, go.
Okay. Yeah. We've been pretty negative about this film. We sort of started off like saying all the stuff we loved about it.
Yeah.
And then like a big portion of the podcast was everything that's wrong about it. I'll just sort of go over the stuff that I liked again, in case you all forgot from our 1 hour rambling session.
Yeah.
I think Wonder Woman was fantastic. So Gal Gadot, really good job. Even though the accent was a bit dodgy.
Yeah.
I think Steve Trevor, Chris Pine was fantastic. I think some of the visuals were pretty cool, but that's kind of like 50-50.
Yeah.
They missed on a lot of them. Part of the story was good. This film's just so split, man.
It's like half is like a masterpiece,
I know,
and half
but
is like
what on earth went
rubbish.
wrong?
It's a mixed bag, and it's hard. It's the hardest sort of film to review, really, because you can't keep a consistent show. Like, you can't keep a consistent podcast here because you can't go, oh, I like this, I like that, I like this. Oh, maybe that wasn't as good, but I still like this.
Yeah.
You can't do that because some of it's so good and some of it's just not.
I liked all the Greek mythology elements going on here. I think, look, the characters had potential. It's just that some of them just, like we said, were miscast, or they didn't really fit into the film at all. If you had Ares recast, if you had, obviously, Wonder Woman, Chris Pine, Etta Candy, I think they're probably my 4 favorites if Ares just wasn't David Thewlis.
Yeah.
I think there's definitely good portions of this movie, but there's a lot of stuff that just went horribly wrong in production, and that just seems to be like a consistent thing going on with the DC universe.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think whether the Ultimate Edition of BVS was better than this.
I think it's better than this.
Yeah. I think I gave Ultimate Edition a B-, so I'm probably going to give Wonder Woman a C+.
Ooh.
Yeah. Look, I think Gal Gadot is fantastic.
Hang on. Question.
Yeah.
Question from the bench.
Question from the bench.
What did you give Black Widow?
I gave it a C-, but obviously, look. Let me.
Upon further reflection,
let me build on this. We've said this a few times on the podcast. There's kind of like this bias after you watch the film. Recency bias.
Yeah.
I think you brought it up. Like, if you walked out of Godzilla vs Kong, it's like, okay, that's an A. Like, that was fantastic. So I walked out of Black Widow and I was like, I really liked Florence Pugh in this. But upon further inspection, I mean, you've got a villain who has this sort of mind control nose superpower. Black Widow is like doing flips off like this floating. What even is that?
Yeah.
It's just such a big mess. If I was to like redo Black Widow as like a rating, I'd probably give it like a D-.
Yeah.
Very close to an F. There's a considerable margin between Black Widow and this.
Yeah.
And even, Captain Marvel, I would consider like a D- F.
Yeah.
I think that's horrific as well.
Okay.
Just wanted to check. Even the sequel is a D- F.
Yeah, I just wanted to check in comparison there because I didn't want this film to be anywhere near.
It's nowhere near those ones
because it is considerably better, and it's a fine film in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, C+ from me.
Yeah, I'm very easy with my ratings. Like, I don't like to give a movie a C, but I like this movie a lot. I'm a huge DC fan, so ultimately that's going to come into my rating. I enjoy watching. It
sucks, man. Like, I really liked this film the first time I saw it. And it's one of the better DCEU films, but like, I'm just looking at like my list of like movies again, like them ranked, and this film came in at number 3 for me, and BVS Ultimate Edition is behind it, and then it's Shazam.
What's in front of it?
Snyder Cut and the Suicide Squad.
Right.
So I think I might have to chuck it down a rung and put BVS Ultimate Edition above it, but I mean, it's better than Shazam. Shazam's just like, what is that film? Like,
it's not
another mind control villain.
Well, I can't even remember.
It's Mark Strong.
Can't even remember, man.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Yeah, so, yeah, for me, on my DCU ranking, I think, it would come behind those 3, actually. Snyder Cut, the Suicide Squad, and BVS. Not necessarily in that order, obviously, but yes, so, I mean, look, it's a bit of a mixed bag, but at the end of the day, the negatives are so powerful that, unfortunately, Gal Gadot can't really
She can't carry.
She
all
can't
of
make
this.
us forget about them.
Yeah.
You know, and no matter the performance, I think there are core elements of this film that were unfortunately not as good as they certainly could have been.
Oh yeah.
Wonder Woman 3, mate.
I'm looking forward to it. End of story.
I can't tell whether you're joking or not. To be honest.
Look, man.
It's
Patty Jenkins is directing,
she's
it again,
directing and
fantastic,
and she's writing.
and she's writing. Okay, well, look, I walked out of 1984, so that gives you a hint as to whether I'll be watching the third film.
What needs to happen? What do you want to see this Wonder Woman character do?
I want.
Do you want it modern day? Where do you want it to take place first?
I want Steve Trevor kept dead. I want. Sorry, spoilers.
No offense to Steve Trevor, we love the guy, but you're dead, son. You're not coming back.
Yeah, somehow he returned. So Steve Trevor needs to be dead. It needs to be set modern day. We need to have elements of the Snyderverse coming into it. Obviously, we need to have Snyder writing on it. And Patty Jenkins just needs to understand Wonder Woman as a character. Yeah. Clearly, she doesn't understand her. So I think she just needs a bit of context.
Yeah. It's interesting because not many people pick up on it, but the end of the Snyder Cut sets up Wonder Woman 2, it would have been.
Really?
Yeah, so there's a scene towards the end of the Snyder Cut where Diana goes back to the arrow that was shot into, that little... At the start of the movie, the Amazons shoot an arrow, a warning fire. So she travels there towards the start of the movie, and then she travels back at the end. She sort of has the arrow, and she's looking out to Themyscira, hinting that she's going to travel back there to see the family, or to return to Themyscira.
Yep.
And the idea was that she would have some sort of adventure on the way to get to Themyscira, like there would be certain obstacles or something, or maybe she'd get to Themyscira, and then the movie would take place there.
So are you telling me that the obstacle was the 80s? To get back to Themyscira, she went through the 80s. I don't even understand how they got into the 80s.
That's not... No. The Wonder Woman 1984 is obviously not canon.
It's not canon.
Snyderverse.
No.
But, my goodness, Wonder Woman 3, God help it. Look, peace and love to all of the Warner Bros. Producers and writers out there. This has been a particularly positive podcast. I'm losing the plot here. Yeah. And look, I think that's a brilliant way to end this show.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Rewatch podcast. If you'd like to follow us on Instagram, you can do so at the Rewatch Pod. If you'd like to subscribe to the YouTube channel, just search the Rewatch on YouTube. Jaden, God help us, what are we doing for the next episode?
I think we're doing Mamma Mia. Will this joke ever end? What are we actually doing next?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Mamma Mia.
Mamma Mia.
We'll see you then, viewers. Thank you so much for listening. I'm so sorry about Warner Bros. And Patty Jenkins. We will catch you next time. Goodbye.
See ya.